What if the tragic and bloody end of the legendary Viking Age was merely the silent, grim prologue to a far more calculated, devastating invasion that would alter world history forever? Today, mainstream history teaches us to look at Great Britain as a symbol of royal tradition, global power, and linguistic dominance. But buried deep beneath the golden vaults of Westminster Abbey lies a dark, violent chapter. A moment in the chaotic matrix of the 11th century when an entire civilization was systematically wiped out and rebuilt from its own ashes. In our previous chapter, we witnessed how the terrifying dragon ships of the Norsemen shattered the fractured Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, leaving the soil of England permanently drenched in blood and smoke. For centuries, the Saxons bled under the pagan fury of the north, but by the fateful year of 1066, the ancient Viking shadow was finally beginning to fade across the European horizon. Yet, humanity was completely blind to the reality that the vacuum left by the fading Vikings would instantly be occupied by a terrifyingly sophisticated new variable in the grand theater of total war. The catastrophic catalyst exploded in January 1066. The King of England, Edward the Confessor, closed his eyes for the final time, dying without leaving a single male heir to secure the lineage. In an instant, the English throne transformed into the most dangerous vacuum of power in the Western world. The fragile matrix of political stability shattered into absolute chaos. Across the horizons of Europe, three powerful titans gazed upon the crown, each claiming the absolute divine right to wear the iron sovereignty of England. First, there was Harold Godwinson, the most powerful and strategically positioned English noble, who instantly seized the crown in London. Second, from the freezing mist of the northern seas, came Harald Hardrada, the giant, ruthless Viking king of Norway, a man widely feared as the last true Viking hero of Europe, determined to resurrect the grand North Sea empire of his ancestors. And third, watching silently from across the sea, was William, the cold, calculating Duke of Normandy, a geopolitical mastermind who operated not with primitive rage, but with a calculated, ironclad administrative logic. The chessboard was set for total war. If you are ready to break through the illusions of history and witness how modern England was born in blood, hit the like button, subscribe, and let us dive into the year 1066. The crisis exploded in September. From the freezing northern seas, the ultimate Viking war machine mobilized. Harald Hardrada landed on the northern shores of England with a colossal fleet of over 300 longships, filled with hardened warriors eager to drown the English kingdoms in iron and fire. The new English king, Harold Godwinson, had to act fast. He marched his army north from London with unbelievable, superhuman speed, catching the Vikings completely by surprise at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. It was an absolute slaughter. In the midst of the chaotic meat grinder, Harald Hardrada was struck directly in the throat by a stray arrow, dying in the mud. The Viking army was completely crushed. Out of 300 longships that arrived, only 24 had enough living men to sail back home. The Viking Age in England was permanently, irrevocably dead, turned into nothing more than a memory of ash and bone. But as King Harold Godwinson stood upon the victorious, blood-slicked battlefield, exhausted and bleeding, a terrifying message arrived from the southernmost coast. The true monster had just landed. William, Duke of Normandy, utilizing a perfect weather window, had crossed the English Channel with an elite army of armored knights, European mercenaries, and disciplined tactical archers. Without a single day of rest, without time to bury their dead or heal their wounds, the tired English army had to turn around and march hundreds of miles back south to face a threat that moved with absolute military precision. On the morning of October 14, 1066, on a narrow hill near Hastings, the definitive destiny of the entire English-speaking world was decided in a single, catastrophic afternoon. The English warriors quickly established their legendary shield wall, a solid fortress of interlocking wooden shields and heavy battleaxes. For hours, William's elite Norman cavalry crashed violently against the wall like furious waves against a rock, completely unable to penetrate the Saxon line. Panic started to spread among the Normans. A wild rumor flew through the battlefield that Duke William himself had been killed in the chaos. Sensing a total collapse of his invasion, William performed an act of supreme historical audacity. He pulled off his heavy iron helmet, exposed his face to the rain of arrows, rode out directly in front of his retreating knights, and screamed into the battlefield, "Look at me! I am alive, and with God's help, I will conquer." In that exact moment of psychological crisis, William engineered a brilliant, ruthless tactical deception. He ordered his cavalry to initiate a feigned retreat, pretending to flee the battlefield in absolute panic and terror. The English soldiers, thinking they had won, broke their unbreakable shield wall and chased the retreating enemy down the hill. It was a fatal, irreversible mistake. In a flash, the Norman knights turned around on their horses, surrounding the disorganized Saxons and systematically slaughtering them where they stood. As the sun began to set, a stray Norman arrow pierced King Harold directly through the eye. The Saxon king fell dead, and with him, Anglo-Saxon England died forever. On Christmas Day, 1066, inside Westminster Abbey, William the Conqueror was officially crowned as the new King of England. But winning the Golden Crown was the easy part. Suppressing a hostile nation would require a level of calculated cruelty that history would never forget. To permanently cement his absolute, totalitarian sovereignty over a fiercely resistant population, William the Conqueror unleashed a campaign of systemic state terror known as the Harrying of the North. When the nobles in the North attempted to form a rebellion, William's vengeance was total. He did not merely march to defeat the rebel armies. He ordered the literal liquidation of the entire region. His armies systematically marched through hundreds of villages, burning every single home and church to the ground. They slaughtered all livestock, destroyed agricultural tools, and salted the fertile fields so that nothing could grow for generations. Over 100,000 human beings starved to death in the freezing winter that followed. Contemporary chroniclers wrote with horror that the roads were completely covered in decaying human corpses, with absolutely no one left alive to bury them. It was a calculated medieval genocide designed to paralyze the nation with pure fear. No one would ever dare to whisper the word rebellion again. With the population thoroughly crushed and broken, William realized that physical terror must be reinforced by a total economic panopticon. He designed and executed the ultimate administrative database of the medieval world, the Domesday Book. He sent royal agents into every single corner of England to count and record every single piece of property. They documented every house, every citizen, every field, and even every single pig and cow in the country. Absolutely nothing could be hidden from William's relentless tax matrix. The terrified population named it the Domesday Book because its economic judgment was as absolute and inescapable as the final judgment of God himself. Through this total database, William completely erased the ancient English ruling class, replacing them with a French-speaking Norman elite. He fundamentally altered the English language, introducing thousands of French words, revolutionized architecture with massive stone castles, and bound the island permanently to the grand matrix of continental European politics and power. What, then, is the ultimate historical verdict on William the Conqueror? Was he merely a brutal tyrant who destroyed an ancient culture for his own insatiable greed? Or was he a necessary force that dragged an isolated island into the grand theater of global civilization? He remains the ultimate conqueror, the man who took a bloody Viking apocalypse and violently turned it into the very foundation of a global empire. Prove you are human. Are you a real human history enthusiast who watched this dark saga till the very end? Or are you just a deadbot scrolling through the internet matrix? Prove your existence right now. Leave a comment below with the word conqueror, hit that like button, and subscribe to help us break the algorithm for the next chapter. Thank you for watching Real Human. Stay free.